Okay, I believe we are, let me verify.
Normally when you record, I get a little thing that says this meeting is now being recorded, but I didn't get that yet.
I did the live, so we are live and now we are going.
Thank you.
And now
Okay,
we
there
got fancy. Hold on, let me see. I got you.
Dr. Green can start out by responding to some of your counter offers.
Okay, hang on one sec. I was gonna start with salary, but go, I'm happy to hear your counter offers.
Okay, Kyle, are we all set?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So the first offer you gave us was, our first counter offer was about parental leave. We are going to accept your counter offer and TA that. We are super excited that Brevard Public Schools will be as far as we know, the first school district in the state to offer some form of paid parental leave. So we're super excited to be able to offer that to our new moms and dads. For those of you that are just tuning in, we're starting with 5 days of paid parental leave. And we hope that after this year, we can look at the numbers more closely. We'll have more accurate data, see how many dads took advantage of this, how many moms, and then we could continue to grow this. That's our goal. But we are going to accept the 5 days of parental leave and think it's a huge step to get us to 2020 and start offering something to new moms and dads. So super excited about that.
And Anthony, real quick, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Green, because I know when we first brought it up at a board meeting and the wheels got started, I do know that you formed a team and you guys looked at this. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Kyle.
Okay. Your next, well, you had rejected our proposal about annual contract and the leave of absence. We really want to look at that some more. We don't have a counter or a resubmittal yet, but we're not prepared to let go of that. We want to look into that some more. We might need some data from you as well. So we're going to keep working on that.
Okay.
We're ready to TA the MOA about early release. And once again, I just want to stress to everybody that this is just for this school year because of the changes in the schedule and due to COVID. It is not a permanent change. We are prepared to TA your MOA counter about comp time. Geez, this is what happens when I don't have a copy of them in front of me. About comp time. We think that's a good direction, especially for this year, and we're going to accept that and see what that looks like going forward. We were good to TA the language about the discretionary day and day between semesters. So we're good to TA that one as well.
Okay.
And then I don't know if yeah, I see Mark's still on there. Mark, I was going to ask for a favor from you about now that we've agreed on the premium increases. If Mark, you could put that on, on one page, which shows the plan design changes as well as the premium increases for the gold and silver. So, I don't know, you can't really see. Kyle, can you zoom in on me?
Oh, I don't know if I can go that far. We could try.
Let's see. He knows what I'm talking about.
I can certainly see that.
Okay, so something like that, so we can easily share with the members the plan design changes and the premium changes in one place.
Speaker at the bottom. Mute your speaker at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, So let me just see if there's anything I missed.
You're good.
Dr. Green, the comp time proposal we just accepted. Is there any implications with that? Or crossover between that and the MOA, or we're looking at them completely separate?
The COVID MOA.
The COVID MOA. I'm sorry.
So are you asking, like, do you want to add this to the COVID, the two that we just MOA'd to that MOA? I don't understand what you're saying.
We were just asking Dr. Green, because we haven't seen it except for when it was presented on your screen.
Yeah.
That it's not extending the current COVID MOA that expires on the 31st, right?
Correct.
I saw it reference COVID. It just referenced it. It didn't actually extend anything except about comp time, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that was our only concern, because we haven't seen it yet other than what was on the screen. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So that's we got a lot accomplished. So what do we have left going forward? The leave of absence and
Salary. Oh, and supplement. Yes.
Okay. All right. So
we're
okay. Go ahead.
We're ready to talk salary, a counter to your proposal that you gave us, I believe, on 8/31. Whenever you gave us the grid of your 8/31. And as you know, there has been a lot of discussion across the state with the approach that you proposed, where it's, as I think you all have called it, a bandit approach. I'm not sure where that term came from, but I kind of think that's how you phrased it. If that's not how you're calling it, I apologize. I've heard it somewhere. But there has been a lot of talk with the DOE, with the CFOs across the state. I know that FEA has been involved in helping this type of approach being presented. But the latest word that we got is that this does not meet the intent of the House Bill 641. And so not only did that word come down from the DOE, but it kind of came down with a reminder of the scope of their authority. So in the response that said, we don't buy into this, it doesn't meet the intent of the language of the new statute. They also said, and don't forget, we have broad oversight into all these things. So we took that to mean, that they have the ability to withhold those funds if we don't do what they want us to do. They have the ability to, and they did say, we'll audit, you'll open yourself up to significant audits. So we have, we really were interested in what you presented, and we tried to work with that until such time that we were told by the DOE that they didn't, buy into that method, and they really believed it was not the intent of the legislature. So we have taken our salary allocation.
Dr. Green, before you continue, can I ask what made you feel like our proposal was non-compliant with state statute?
Well, first of all, again, it's not us, it's the DOE, but I will tell you the language that they referenced. The statute says to get all teachers that are making less than 47, or new teachers that are classroom teachers, and in fact, full-time classroom teachers that are making less than 47.5, as close to 47.5 as you can get them. And with the bandit approach, that doesn't happen, because there are people that are classroom teachers that are less than 47.5 that are making more than the new teachers. And so we're not using that money to get them as close to 47.5 as we can get. And in fact, like, I don't have the bill, I don't have the law in front of me, but when I say that money, it's 80%. And I think we all pretty much understand what the bill says, and I can, or what the law says, and I can go back and like be specific if you want me to talk specifics before I show you our proposal.
Well, I mean, to be clear, you're saying that the Department of Education is telling you that you can't use this money in the manner that we suggested. It is coming from the DOE.
That is correct. And the reason, again, is that you have, when you see our proposal utilizing the teacher salary allocation that is tied to House Bill 641, you will see that we can get those group one, as we're calling them, those full-time classroom teachers, up to a higher amount than what your proposal suggested that the minimum base salary would be. So if we can pull those people up to that higher amount, then that doesn't meet the intent of getting those people as close to 47.5 as you can get, because we've had some lower, and then we've had another group, or, another, as in your proposal, another group of teachers that were a little bit higher, and then a little bit higher, and you continued to make progress getting everybody up there, but that's not what the law said. The law said getting those group one teachers that are making less than 47.5 as close as you can get. So let us show you our proposal, and then
Can I ask you a few more questions, please? So would you agree that we have the right to collectively bargain wages, hours, and terms of conditions of employees?
So that's an interesting, I mean, absolutely, I agree that. I do agree that with that statement. However, in this particular salary increase allocation, it was prescriptive in how it was to be laid out. And I do believe that there are districts that have said, here's what the allocation is, here's what the plan is, and here's what we're presenting to the state. So whereas, yes, I agree that you have the right to bargain that, I also agree that there are some things that are in print and law that that are prescriptive in nature. Again, I'll go back to, part of this withdrew the best and brightest. So best and brightest had some specific terms in it that we did not have the ability to vary from. And whereas I remember us talking last year, you wanted to make sure that best and brightest was discussed at the table. We can't go against what the rules of best and brightest were last year. They were what they were. So regardless of bargaining, we couldn't agree to pay a person best and brightest if they didn't fit the categories that best and brightest were about. And I think we're at the same place here.
Okay, and just to be clear, best and brightest was a bonus program, correct? Not salary?
I'm not really sure what best and brightest was. I know that it was repealed by House Bill 641.
Okay, so, but I mean, essentially you're saying that you're getting guidance from the DOE that is saying you cannot bargain this in any variation other than what we're saying for the 80 pot.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the guidance that we're getting from the DOE is that what has been presented to them with a banded approach, it does not meet the intent of the law. Did we share your banded approach with them? I don't know the answer to that because Cindy Lasinski works with the CFOs around the state. She's got calls with the DOE about money. This is a really heavy year with all the stuff that's happening because of, what we're in the middle of. So there's a lot of discussion with the DOE that's been going on, an inordinate amount that it would be, in my opinion, unusual based on a regular year. So did she hand that one page that you created for us to the DOE? I'm going to say I don't have the answer to that, but I do know that there has been discussion with all of the CFOs, and there are many CFOs around the state who have been handed the similar type of an approach that has been looked at and vetted by the DOE, and they have come back and said to everyone, this approach is not the intent, does not meet the intent of the law.
So in previous years, when we were negotiating over salary, has the DOE ever told us what we could, how to distribute that salary, or we just negotiated at the table, ratified, and moved on?
So this is a different situation because this isn't part of the help. So Karen Strickland's in the room and she's going to help me with this language. FEFP. This is not part of FEFP.
It is a categorical. It is a categorical. It has to be used for a very specific purpose, and there is statute, and then there is also language in the appropriations bill regarding this money. It is very prescriptive. It's not just an increase to the FEFP that is not already obligated. It is a categorical.
So are they going to continue making it a categorical in future years? Has that been said anywhere, that this will remain as a categorical, or will it just become general?
So the interesting thing that they have said is that once you get to where you're going to be, even if they drop this categorical, the district has to figure out a way to stay there. Is that correct?
I don't recall if it's the statute or the appropriations bill, but yes, one of the two says that once we have gotten where we're going, we cannot negotiate down from there unless they give us specific permission to do so. And I believe that's the legislature. I believe that's in the appropriations bill.
So let me just ask you, did you believe that our proposal increased minimum base salary for classroom teachers?
Yes.
From 39,226 to 45,500, correct?
I do agree with that.
Okay. I'd also have some additional guidance from the DOE. It's a teacher salary increase allocation December preliminary expenditure report. And
just real quick, Anthony, this was provided to all school boards last week and to the superintendent, and I believe DOE provides a weekly memo or report to the schools. So the district should have received this from the DOE as well.
And on it, it says requirements per HB 641 are as follows. And the third bullet down says increase.
Are you going to tell us something about that?
Increase the minimum.
Here, I could probably present it, Anthony.
Is that echo coming from me?
No.
Okay. So the third bullet down, Dr. Green, it says increase. Somebody's echoing. What is that?
I'm 100% sure it's not coming from us.
Somebody's computer is not muted in the shared room.
Watch. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay. All right, there we go. So the third bullet down says increase the base salary for classroom teachers. Nowhere on that does it say increase the minimum base salary for classroom teachers to 47,500. It just simply says increase the minimum base salary. Our proposal did increase the minimum base salary. And Kyle, can you guys see what Kyle's shared?
Scroll up so they can see that it came from the DOE.
Okay, Rick can see it.
Can you guys see this, Dr. Green?
She's on mute.
She has to unmute herself. Okay.
Okay.
Dr. Green, you're muted.
Okay, I'm trying to change my screen so I can see everything that's on there. So I see that it comes from the FUE. Can you scroll up a little bit? Or down? Go up to make the bullet, the guidance bullet toward the top of the screen so I can read.
Right here?
Keep going.
Go down.
Keep going. Okay, stop right there for a minute.
Okay.
Keep going, scroll down a little bit more. So I don't think anywhere, it's my, I'm reading this for the first time, so I don't really know, but it doesn't seem to me that that is just detailing every single thing that's in it. It's just saying, here are the main requirements. Make sure that when you're submitting your plan, you can check these 5 bullets. That's just from a first glance at it.
So, did the DOE tell you that you could be audited if you did not do this? Is that what you said earlier?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if Cindy or somebody has looked at what you turn in for your reporting once we've agreed on this. It's available at the DOE teacher salary allocation webpage. Kyle's showing you the link there. I don't know if Cindy's there, but if she is, or Karen, can you possibly explain how the DOE would be able to determine if we got all teachers' salaries as close as possible to 47.5? I think that's an impossibility to determine from.
Well, I don't know, because you don't have the reporting people in the room, and
Okay.
Karen's, I don't believe, is involved in the reporting to the DOE.
No, I probably will be involved, but I haven't looked at that in any detail at all, Anthony. I'm not sure what it says. However, I did go into my folder where I have the statute 641, and it says that this the money is to each school district, blah, 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 to at least 47.5 or to the maximum amount achievable. So it does say the maximum amount achievable.
All right. Well, I understand that you guys are, getting this information from the DOE, and I don't really know exactly who's saying that at the DOE, but our team was there when the law was being written and discussed, and we don't believe that what this mid-level manager at the DOE says is accurate, that what this mid-level manager is saying actually overwrites our state constitution, which says that wages are to be bargained by the representatives of the employees. So we very much disagree that this person has the authority to say, school districts, you must do this, and you no longer have the right to bargain over salary. I mean, that is the complete opposite of what our state constitution says. But with that said, we will hear your counter proposal, and also, if when you present your counter proposal, you can tell us why you feel like that meets the state statute or the teacher salary allocation statute, we would appreciate that.
Okay. Kyle, would it be easier for you to share my screen or me to share my screen?
I can't share your screen.
Okay. All right. Hang on.
I can just give you permission.
Okay.
Oh,
So do you think that's large enough? Let me see. Okay. So we have basically 3 sets of teachers if you look at what the salary allocation is asking us to do. They provided an amount of money to us. From that amount of money, we had to give the charter schools their amount of money. And, that was based on FTE, I believe. And so you can see our allocation that we received, the total that we received right here. The first group of teachers that we're required to work on, and we're required to use 80% of our allocation to do that, and you can see that up here, the 80%, are those full-time classroom teachers and full-time preschool handicap teachers that are paid through FEFP. And we're supposed to take 80% and get them as close to 47.5 as we can do. So we have in that category 1,833 teachers. And if you take that 80% of our allocation and you put those 1833 in there, it gets those people to 46,650.
Yeah, Dr. Green, that 1833 for group one is based off of definition, right? Statute definition of classroom teacher?
Yes. Statute definition of classroom teachers.
Okay, Dr. Green, I also noticed at the top it's utilizing August 13 data. Is that first payroll run? I'm just asking because I know numbers are going to become an issue, because I have a payroll from August 31st that was just provided. So I'm just trying to figure out what numbers we're using.
So I think we had this discussion last year, maybe when we were talking about numbers, and two things. Payroll is not what we use. So
Okay,
that's because remember, payroll includes people that are on, or, may not include people that are on leave or people that are inactive or not getting paid at that moment in time. So that's
Dr.
really,
Green, I really hate to hit you on this one, but you're going to encode people on leave. So we got to agree on something.
no. What I'm saying is they're not included in the payroll. This would include these. Yeah. So if you're looking at a payroll run, if somebody doesn't get paid on that day, you're not looking at them. I'm looking at them.
Okay, so where are these numbers from then?
I'm going to have to find that out for you because I'm not the one that ran this report. But let me keep going through the proposal. But keep in mind about numbers. It is a moment in time, no matter what date, what run, what anything we look at. Unless you want to agree that we're going to start looking at salary and everything else based on a bucket of people. And
I mean, that's what we agreed last year. We agreed on a set of numbers before we even started negotiations last year. And that made the process a lot easier, but I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I would just like to know where the numbers are from, but I know you want to keep going, so.
Well, I don't have an answer for you, and there's nobody at this table that has that answer, so I can't answer that.
So Dr. Green, so what are you going to do?
I'm sorry, Anthony.
What are you going to do when the DOE turns around and says you're not at 47.5? We're auditing you and taking back this money. How are you possibly going to prove to them that you got the salary as high as you can?
So I can tell you that most of the districts in the state are not going to get to the 47.5. Their salary allocation did not give them the amount of money to get to 47.5.
Yeah,
so
but I think
we're with everybody else as well.
So, but how are you going to prove that? I mean, your fear is when we're at 45.5, you're going to be locked up and they're going to throw away the key. But when you're at 46,650, you have no fear of being audited. You have no concern that you're going to be in violation of.
Not at all. Not at all, because we are taking our full-time classroom teachers and full-time preschool handicap teachers that are identified in 1012 6B1. I believe that is the statute. I'm not, I haven't looked at it for a while. Not to include the non-classroom teachers who are identified in B, C, and D. That's a different group. So we just like Best and Brightest, we know clearly who is in that group one group. We know who those teachers are, and whether they're with us today or whether they're with us in 2 weeks or 2 years, we know when we hire them if they're a group one full-time classroom teacher or full-time preschool handicap teacher, or if they're not. So we're using 80% of our allocation with those teachers, and that is the amount that we can get with them. So we believe, based on the language, that this is what the language reads. The group 2 teachers, according to the language, are the same full-time classroom teachers and full-time preschool handicapped teachers that did not get a 2% increase. So same group of teachers, and looking at only those whose increased salary did not reach 2%. And that also is called for in the bill. And that is an amount of money that comes out of the remaining 20%. So if we look at that same group of teachers and figure out which one of those didn't get a 2% increase, and we bring them to that 2% increase, we spend an estimated $59,831 out of that 20% pot to bring the rest of those group 1 teachers that are currently below up, that didn't get the 2%. The group 3 teachers are those people who do not fit the definition according to 1012. I think it's 6B1. I think that's the here I'm looking at it right now. 1012. Sorry, it's not 6. It's 1012.
Look at it.
It's 1012-01. 2A is classroom teachers, and then B, C, D, and D are those who are not classroom teachers. So group 3 is those non-classroom teachers who were excluded from group 1, and the teachers that are above 46.5.
11,366,243.
And we can do one of 2 things for that group. We can do a 1.35%, or we can do a $709 increase for that group. So the group 3, again, are those teachers that are excluded from group 1 and teachers above 46.5. So once again, the statute is 1012.01, 2, which is instructional personnel, and A is classroom teachers. Those excluded from that group are the B, which is student personnel, C, librarians and media specialists, and D, other instructional staff. So on this sheet, our group 3 are everybody that's excluded from group 1 and anybody that's already above the 46,650. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit so you can see the sheet. With this proposal, you can see at the bottom that there is a little bit held in reserve. And you can see that. So if we use the percent increase of 1.35 for the group 3 teachers, we have 109,000 left in reserve. If we use the 709 increase for the group 3 folks, we have 137 left in reserve. And that spends our teacher salary allocation that was provided to us in this categorical based on House Bill 641.
Okay, now where's the real offer?
Say it again.
Where's the real offer now? So you guys are not putting any money into this to begin with?
This offer does not include any additional compensation than what is the teacher salary allocation.
So it includes no money from Brevard Public Schools.
That is correct.
So our veteran teachers already got a slap in the face from the state of Florida with this pay plan. and they're getting another slap in the face from Brevard Public Schools because you have put nothing to at least make their raise a little bit better, especially coupled with the health insurance increase everybody's going to see.
I just have to remind everybody of the situation that we find ourselves in right this very second. And the cuts that we made last year. And even with the increase in the allocation, it didn't keep up with the cuts that we've made, and we've had to put money in, into other places. And we are now in a situation where we don't know what's even going to happen in January. So,
I mean, I would like to remind people that there's $19 million in the bank account for this situation as well. But, and it's audited on yours. I think it's echoing on your side, Dr. Green.
no, nobody has a speaker on in here but me.
I mean, it's not our side.
Hang on.
And then I have like 3 or 4 questions, Anthony.
All right, let me.
We don't know where it's coming from, and we don't think it's in here.
Okay.
Let me try to talk for a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I don't have an echo, so I don't know. So Dr. Green, I mean, just to be clear, we're talking, Brevard County is talking about giving a raise to somebody who's worked for Brevard County for 3-4 weeks. That amounts to $7,424. And then they're going to turn around and offer somebody who's been in Brevard County 15, 20, 25 years, a $709 raise. And, the financial situation being what it's being, there was money put aside for salary or insurance this year, according to the publicly delivered budget update at some point. In one of the superintendent's presentations or Cindy's presentation, there was a couple $1 million put aside for that. So the fact that you're now going to make us go and start fighting for this, I think this is where our veteran employees are just really just over this whole thing. Like, we understand that the state, created some crazy parameters, but you know that, I know that, hopefully everybody knows that these insane parameters. However, regardless of if we're going to continue to fight over the structure of the 80 pot, the fact that you guys didn't put anything else in the 20 pot, you said, let's just give them the bare minimum we possibly can. I mean, nobody goes, well, we're giving somebody who's been working for Brevard County $7,424. Maybe we shouldn't make the unions start fighting for a reasonable proposal of $1,300. We're going to come in with absolutely not one penny from Brevard Public Schools. And I mean, you got to put this in perspective. So this is my 21st year in Brevard County. If this happens to $46,650 after 21 years, I'm going to be making like $4,000 or $5,000 more than somebody who's been working for like 5 weeks in Brevard County. And like I said, I realize that a lot of that is not under your control, but some of it is in the district's control. The fact that there was $2 million available, or more than $2 million available in the district's budget a couple months ago for this, and has now not a cent of that's been put across. This is why our veterans are so frustrated. You guys have made that decision. And we know, I just want to say, we know the budget is tight, but the reality is we also know you guys haven't hired like 500 teachers. So our number of teachers is way, way, way down. Our class sizes are exploding. So it's like you want to have your cake and eat it too 3 times over, every which way. And the cake gets smeared in the face of our veteran teachers who are dealing with the large classes, crappy pay, hybrid teaching and everything else. So I know DOE is telling you one thing about the 80 pot, and I don't agree, but I understand why you would bring us a proposal on that. But for the not adding more into the 20 pot right now, that's what's killing me.
So can I don't want to interrupt you because I hear your passion and I understand, but I want to be clear about a couple of things. And you've referenced that $2 million a couple of times. And I don't believe that Dr. Mullins ever said that that $2 million was going to go straight to compensation. What Dr. Mullins said, I believe, was that the $2 million was going to handle things like unforeseen enrollment fluctuations, the healthcare costs that we are putting money toward, potential compensation if that happens. You know, the state increased our funding. We went through some budget cuts. We still had to cut $8 million, even though the state increased our funding. The amount that we've increased for the FRS, the decreased student FTE, which we are facing, every bit of our fund balance is being used to cover things over the next 2 to 3 years. Every dollar that we spend now, we're going to need next year. So what are we going to cut?
Well,
That's next year. That's next year.
So I will say that is not what the superintendent told me. He said that money was for either for health insurance or employee compensation. That's
What
what
said health insurance?
Well, that's what he told me. He said health insurance or employee compensation. And instead, he's trying to squirrel it away. And look, Dr. Green, we cannot continue to have this fight where you guys, oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But guess what? We're holding on to our $19 million emergency fund because apparently a worldwide pandemic does not classify as an emergency in this district. So you cannot keep pulling that card. Now, if you've dipped into that $19 million, no, there's no intention of doing that. We like I said, we're short about 500 teachers is what we saw when we looked at it today. So we know we're not fully hired out.
56, 66.
There's CARES money that is in place. There's COVID savings that's in place. There's lapse money that's in place. So to just offer us nothing other than exactly what the state gave us, it's just not gonna fly. I mean, it's not gonna work.
So I also want to say a couple of things. You know, we started the school year, and yes, we have made up some enrollment since the beginning of the school year. So I'm not saying we're landing there, but we started the first day about 6,000 students that we didn't know where they were. And we have found some, but we are still down students. If we counted those 6,000 students at what they cost FTE, we're looking at close to $50 million. You keep talking about a $19 million savings for emergencies. When we lose student enrollment,
Well,
that's going to be a problem. The other thing that I've heard you say twice.
Wait, we've got to back it up and be honest, okay? That you have not lost a cent of funding for student enrollment. Your funding for student enrollment is guaranteed at least through December.
That's right.
That is
correct.
Guaranteed. And it's no longer 6,000 students. It's more like 3,000.
I said that.
And on top of the $19 million, you also have an EFP reserve fund of like $3+ million. So there is some funds in there to cover that. I'm not saying that would cover the whole thing, but I just get back to the whole, oh my gosh, we have a crisis, we might have to use our reserves. I mean,
So Anthony,
yes.
when you have, if the funding is cut in December, we have people on year-long contracts. Like if the funding is cut in December,
Mhm.
that would be a problem. So I can also say that there are many districts out there that aren't even looking to discuss salary until the January numbers come in. I've heard that as well. But the other thing I want to respond to that you've said at least twice is that we are holding 500 positions. That is not accurate. We are not holding 500 positions. We don't have 500 vacancies. We don't have, that. So I just want to be clear. Don't let people believe we're sitting on 500 positions.
Dr. Green, based on a comparison of the payroll data that was that was requested by public records, there's 595 people that were not on the payroll when we compared the one from August 31st to May. Do I assume that I think some of those may be federal positions? I may be willing to give you that one, but
So
that is information provided by the district. That is not information that we are pulling out of the sky. Furthermore, Dr. Mullins highlighted that there was money for raises. That is not information we are making up. That is information that we were told by the district.
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to go find that little presentation from the board meeting and listen to it again, because that's not what I heard.
Well, he told us that in a meeting when I asked specifically about that money. So, I mean, I just go back to, you're making this choice not to put a cent into veteran teachers' pay. Nothing, not a cent. Knowing very well that people have been working here for 4 weeks are looking at a $7,000 raise. I mean, that is a bad decision. It's once again penny wise and dollar foolish decision by Brevard County Schools.
But Anthony, it's the legislature's rule.
Yeah, no, I not that I agree with what the 80 pot is saying, but nothing, did the legislature tell you you can't add more into the teacher's salary compensation this year?
No.
Because, no. Yeah, they seem to be telling you lots of things you can and can't
No,
do.
I said no. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know if you didn't hear me or if I had
All right.
echo.
Well, so obviously we're gonna reject this offer. We disagree with your interpretation of the law. We think that you're violating the state constitution by not bargaining over wages, which our state constitution says that we can bargain over. But our message to Dr. Mullins and the school board is, I mean, how do you do this? How do you offer $709 to your veteran teachers when you have $2 million set aside for compensation, knowing what's going on? Somebody's echoing.
I don't know. Pretty sure it's this guy, but I could be wrong.
You got him muted.
Yeah, I got him muted.
Okay. So it's just what eats at our veteran teachers is this. Yeah, part of this may be out of your control, but the part that is in your control, in this offer, you've decided not to do more. The money's there. This imaginary lack of funding at this point, it's getting old. You've not lost 1 cent yet this year, but you're already worried about potentially next year when you haven't even lost money this year, and you still have this untouched $19 million and more, because you have an FEFP reserve fund as well. So
19 million is for emergencies, not for compensation. It's for emergencies. Compensation, I don't look at as an emergency.
Okay, yes, I agree, Dr. Green. I agree. we're not asking to use that for compensation, but we're asking to use it in an emergency. Because if you come to an emergency situation, that's when you use it. I'm sorry I'm coming across frustrated because we can't figure out what rises to the level of emergency in this district, all right? Because this is a worldwide pandemic. I'm pretty sure that's considered an emergency, and we've not touched that funding as of today, but we're worried that we're going to use the money for an emergency That's what the money is there for. So,
But let me say again, anything that we add this year, and I understand how you don't want to look at next year, but you know what the projections are for the next 2 to 3 years. You know what they are. You know what has increased. You know what we cut, and we still didn't meet the monetary requirements that we had. So you know what is on the forecast. And whatever we would add today, it goes, for here on out. I was reminded the 19 million is non-recurring, like there it is. But anything we add to the salary,
it's there every year and it's never used, so it doesn't.
But everything we add to the salary schedule continues on and on.
Well, what I'm saying is I know there is $2.2 million available in the budget that was presented this year. So we would like to, when we're ready to talk about putting more money into this offer with that 2.2, then we'll continue the discussion.
So I do know that we have a meeting scheduled for Monday, and I do think that you've challenged us to go back and figure out that memo from the DOE that you have shared with us to see what exactly they're talking about.
And to find more.
Yes, and to work on our 80 pot. I mean, on our 20 pot. I'm sorry, not 80. But I just, like I said, we feel like we came in with a reasonable offer. We weren't asking for $2,000, $3,000. We're asking for $1,300, and the counter is much lower than that.
So I would say we did do some figuring with what you had proposed. And I know that Mr. Savage had said at one point, and I don't know when, that maybe the district years were wrong, or I'm not really sure what that meant, but our figuring on that salary proposal that came across is about 1.96 more than the teacher salary allocation. And I do remember Mr. Savage saying that the group 2 would probably be 700 and everybody else would be $1 million. So I do remember him saying that, but we costed that out as about 1.96.
Well, based on the employees that actually work for the district, or that's a big thing. You can't use the number from last year.
No, we used the same number that we used for our proposal.
So, Dr. Green,
I use the same data Kyle used.
I'm sorry, Karen said she used the same data that Kyle used to create his proposal.
okay.
For that.
Dr.
cost.
Green, I'm going to come back to the question I asked in the beginning. Where are these teacher allocations coming from?
We're going to find that out. Neither one of us did that report, so I can't answer your question, but we're going to find it
I
out.
understand, but that's a little frustrating because we gave you a salary proposal weeks ago with the understanding that you couldn't respond immediately, but now we've responded and we waited for your response. And now, once again, we are sitting at the bargaining table asking questions that nobody can answer.
So let's be clear, you gave it to us 2 meetings ago. This is meeting number 3. And
we gave it to you
you
on August
also
31st.
That was 2 meetings ago. We've met on August 31st, then we met on September 10th, and now we're here on 9/16.
Okay.
We costed your figures out based on your proposal with your numbers that you had been given. And you had indicated that you were going to give us an updated one. And so we kind of waited to get an updated one. And then we're told, no, we'll talk about it at the table. So we did the cost figuring on your figures. But when we're looking at spending the salary allocation, we have to look at what we have in front of us. And that is the data that was pulled on August 13th. It was not pulled by one of us here that are sitting in this meeting because we don't have the query rights to our ET program, but we will find out where that data came from. But your data that you used for your proposal is what we costed out to be at approximately 1.96.
Okay, and I just want to say we have updated data that shows a loss of 600 teachers. Now we're gonna debate that, and I don't want to debate that. That's what it shows, Dr. Green. I know you're upset about that, but that's what it shows. I had another question. Where are the federally funded and Title I positions being paid from?
They're federally funded positions, and I'm trying to get you back on the screen. I'm stopping to share my screen. Federally.
Red thing that says stop share.
Federally funded positions are, Kyle, can you make my screen whole?
Yeah, I can do it. Hold on.
Federally funded positions are funded by their, thank you, are funded by their grants, by their funds.
So according to that, then it just doesn't add up, Dr. Green, because last year there was about 360, I think, federally funded positions. On that sheet you're showing us is about 2,600. So now we're close to 5,000 positions. I know, and you know, we do not have 5,000 positions in the district. And one final question. Under group 2, you said 20%. Does that mean the people that were under 46,650 that didn't get a 2% raise then gets a 2% raise? Is that the group of teachers you're talking about?
That are considered full-time classroom teachers or funded full-time preschool handicap, paid through FEFP. So group 1 and group 2 start with the same base. So okay. They start with the same base. Group 2 then are the people within that group 1 group that did not attain a 2% raise.
So Dr. Green,
I'm looking for.
We're trying to figure out who you guys are considered federally funded positions. Are all ESE teachers considered federally funded?
No.
No. Okay. All right. See Melissa shaking her head. All right. So the data Kyle has, they all the federal positions are pulled out of there. Correct?
Yes.
So how many federal positions did you pull out of there?
I can't answer that, but I will capture that question.
Well, I mean, because that I believe is the reason, well, part of the reason why we're showing such a big difference in teacher numbers, part of the reason.
I mean, I think I would argue that under what you guys are proposing, you could get the 47.5 if you actually paid the teachers that were in the building. So I think DOE could audit you under what you're proposing, and you would be forced to pay money back because you didn't go all the way to 47.5 because you're bargaining for invisible teachers. So
no,
I mean,
no. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying.
Our belief is that the dollars were given to you actually have to go to the employees in the district. You guys are, you know, there's 200, 300 less teachers in the district this year.
That's why we used August data, and that's why at the bottom you see that there's only 100,000 reserve.
So you used actual teachers in the district, or you used PAR allocations?
Actual people.
Okay, when was your date of your data?
I mean, August 30th. So I guess I had more updated data.
So we lost 200 teachers.
I don't know.
It's hard for us, Dr. Green, because we don't have your proposal in front of us. So
well, here I can email it to you.
Okay.
Hang on. So, Kyle, there's somebody that needs to be muted.
Yeah, can you please mute Bert Clark?
Took care of him. I like
Thank
that
you.
guy.
So I think one place that we need to start before we finish tonight is figure out
I get it.
why our numbers are so much different than yours are.
Kyle, can I ask you one more question? Am I still sharing my screen?
No, you are not.
Okay.
You're able to do it, but
Okay, I don't want to. I'm trying to send you, but I got to hunt through my emails and,
All right.
no, I wouldn't do that too.
So this is what we believe, and maybe, and Karen, maybe if you listen to this. So we, based on the August 31st payroll, there were 1,956 classroom teachers making less than 47.5.
Yeah, but I could update it, Anthony.
Um,
There's 1,000, sorry, Anthony.
what do you?
There's 1,815 under 46.65 according to that. data.
Okay,
So that's 40 people right there.
so say that again, Kyle.
According to the data that we have provided by the district, there's 1,815 teachers below the threshold of 4,665.
okay, and we said 1833, so that's not a difference of 40.
All right, and then.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have your proposal.
I
was
just
going off
sent
the
it.
memory.
I just
Okay,
sent it.
What about for the non-classroom teachers? Under
Run it and I'll go.
46.5.
It's gonna,
I don't have it.
It's not in here.
I mean, hold on, let's not sort it right. Oh, gosh.
I did just send it to you, Mr. Kaluch.
Yeah, I got it. Got it.
I don't know, it's gonna take a minute.
Okay, can you just bear with us for a minute? We're just trying to get our numbers. The numbers we figured out were those making less than 47.5. So he's figuring out numbers of those making less than 46.5 to line up.
It's 46.65.
Oh, yeah, what is
44, oh gosh, 650.
600?
46,650.
Okay, I just printed it out. I'm gonna forward it to our team too.
How many did they say? Non-classroom teachers.
No, we didn't say how many non-classroom teachers. We said,
Oh, they added it all together.
yeah, the non-classroom teachers are in group 3, which is also added to the people that are already above 46,650,
Okay,
as well as your part-time teachers.
Again, we went by 1012.01 to A through C.
That's not right.
Where? Yeah.
so Dr. Green,
Thank you.
there was a budget update, I believe it was from June 16th. It says that Cindy presented it. And so in that budget update, it shows that the projected total budget deficit was, or the minimum projected total budget deficit was $7,140,000. And then it shows the total recurring savings was $9,952,000. So the projected savings were more than the projected deficit. And that's where that $2+ million is coming from.
Correct. And that is where the presentation was made, that was for all those things. Healthcare, fluctuations in FTE, possible compensation, but the whole bucket wasn't for teacher compensation.
Now you're saying the whole bucket wasn't for, but some
No,
of the bucket.
I said before, there were things that were identified as to what that would be for. And I mentioned compensation before, but it was in a group of other things that Dr. Mullins mentioned.
Well, just to be clear, he point blank told us that was there potentially for compensation or health insurance. So, I mean, he point blank told us that on a meeting. So I'm a little shocked to hear about that, and he's recently brought some things to light that, Kyle said in a workshop. So I'm bringing to light what he said in a workshop, which was that there was $2 million available for compensation.
So Dr. Green, like there's an issue with the way the 80% is broken out. I know we disagree on that. I know DOE gave you guidance, and I know we're gonna have further conversations about that. But if you just look at the group 3 number of 2,626 units, based on the information that was provided by the district through a public records request that I was told, and you know this data, Dr. Green, I mean, I'm trying to say it was provided through public records request, but it came through HR. Based on that number right there of 2,626, I have a total that comes up 388 teachers shorter than that, of teachers that are above 46.65 that would get paid out of group 3. So right there's a difference of 388.
So wait, hang on a minute. I'm looking at your answers. Say those numbers again.
So from my understanding, and I'm gonna restate everything. The group 3 is teachers that are above 46, that currently make more than $46,650. Is that correct?
That's part of the bucket.
What else is in the bucket then?
The other bucket are those teachers that are excluded from group 1. So your guidance counselors, your media specialists, your literacy coaches, your Title I coordinators,
That was 170.
the non-classroom teachers. And keep in mind, Kyle, when that public records request was in June, so different data.
No,
And-
this public records request is from May. It's from August 31st.
Oh, well,
Like-
so I don't know that one. I don't know that one. I know
Okay,
the one
Dr.
from
Green.
June that I sent you the information for.
Man, gosh.
Unless you're talking about the spreadsheet that was trying to be updated by taking the 100 fund people only.
Then maybe that's what's provided. I was in the under impression that it was from August payroll and it removed all the extra funding. That's the way it was presented to me.
So let me say something else. I'm looking at a public records request where you ask those questions about the total number of classroom teachers under 47.5 that fit the 10-12-01-2A plus the pre-K kindergarten. But that was under 47.5.
Yeah, that's what
And
he's
back
doing
in-
now,
back
though,
in-
right now.
I know,
That's
but
what
back in May, that was 2043, and now we're at 1833. The second number that you asked for, again, were the non-classroom teachers under 47.5, but remember, we've changed the figure here to 46,650. So that's gonna create a fluctuation in numbers because.
It doesn't create a fluctuation in numbers.
Well, sure it does. If I have teachers between 46,650 and 47,500, that's a fluctuation in numbers.
Dr. Green, they're all being paid from the 20% pot. So it doesn't matter, before they were being paid from the 20% pot as well.
No.
They're not allowed to be paid from the 80% pot.
So I was going back to the first,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
the first number I gave you was group 1.
I mean, either way, I'm coming 300, around 300 teachers from the numbers that were provided from us under what is being presented on group 3. So let me ask you this, Dr. Green. What happens to a non-classroom teacher that makes $40,000? What group are they in?
They're in group 3.
And they only get a $700 raise?
A dollar figure or a percentage?
Okay, do they get a $709 raise?
Or the 1.35. Those are the two options.
So
There's
wait. So you're proposing a separate pay scale for those folks?
Oh my
Let's be
gosh.
clear, Anthony, I'm not proposing the separate pay scale. The legislature is proposing the separate pay scale.
Okay, with that said, there is no way that these numbers are accurate that you've given us. I mean, that just makes no sense at all. Okay, well, we're gonna have to figure out more what you provided, but just to be clear that you are suggesting a pay scale that where our school counselors, social workers, media specialists, resource teachers, et cetera, would be making less than our classroom teachers.
I mean, just to be clear, I'm just gonna pull a name out the hat. Hannah Smith is gonna get a $700 raise, but another new teacher is gonna get a $7,000 raise.
What I'm going to say is this proposal takes our salary allocation provided by House Bill 641, our teacher salary increase allocation, follows the rules of that House Bill 641 and puts those figures on paper. That's what I'm saying.
So we have guidance counselors and social workers that are brand new to the district this year. We already know how much trouble we have retaining social workers, and they are going to make $7,000 less than a teacher who just got here. I mean, come on. I think we were clear when we sat down to the table. We've been clear in tons of conversations that we wanted to honor all members of the bargaining unit, honor everything that they bring to the table to our schools every year. And for the district to come back with this and not put value in the social workers and not put value in our certified school counselors, and then turn around and blame it on the crappy plan that came down from the state. That's disappointing. And, you know, I realize that for the most part, you're the voice they send to the table, but shame on Dr. Mullins and shame on the school board if they actually know and sent you to the table to make an offer that left behind social workers and school counselors.
And literacy,
That's
literacy
just
coaches, media specialists. I mean,
So let me just say,
math and science coaches. I mean,
let me just say, in the spirit of negotiations, you presented us a salary proposal, which with all of the study and all of the interest we had in looking at what you presented, we believe does not meet the intent, and we have been advised that it does not meet the intent. We have responded with a proposal that we believe meets the intent of the teacher salary increase allocation, utilizing the money that we were provided.
So you believe that
If
you believe the DOE is telling you that you have to have a separate pay scale for our non-classroom teachers. That's what I hear you saying, is the DOE is telling you you can't have these people on the same pay scale.
I'm not saying that the DOE is, you keep saying that I'm trying to put words in the DOE's mouth. We're looking at legislation, all right? The legislators passed something. We just, so I didn't let me finish my thought. We put a proposal out there that uses our teacher's salary increase allocation that we were provided, and we followed the letter of the law as to what we believe that it allows us to do. That's our proposal to you. We are here Monday evening, and I would anticipate that we have work to do and you have work to do, and that we're not done with this process.
Yeah, but here's the thing, we can't even come to an agreement about the numbers. We can't, I mean, honestly, we've been talking about the numbers since May, if not earlier, and we still don't even agree on the number of teachers that fall into each class.
But I don't think that's accurate. On any given day, the number is going to be different.
Yeah.
We agreed with what they were in May. They're different today. They're different 2 weeks ago. They're different 3 weeks ago. We agree with who's in each pot. We certainly agree to that. We've never argued with that. We agree to that.
Dr. Green, under your proposal, at the end of the year, let's say you're 100 teachers short, just to use round numbers from group 3, and there's 7, that would be $700,000 unspent from this money. What happens to it?
That's a good question, and I don't think we know the answer to that.
Well, I think by statute, because DOE, and you're afraid to get audited, on a DOE memo, it says all the money has to be expended on teacher salary.
That's correct. But again, I don't know how, so let's talk about Best and Brightest. Best and Brightest had a rule as to what happened with that money at the end of the year.
And what happened
They
with that
had a
money?
rule. Well, we agreed last year that if there was, like, we kept maybe, I don't know, what do you remember, Anthony, 2-3% back, and it was going to go into the professional development program. But sometimes you have to return unspent money. What I'm saying is, I just don't know what the DOE's intent is if something like that happens. I think
we're going to
this
send
is-
it back to DOE.
So
That's-
we
Kyle.
collectively
Wait, can I
bargained
finish,
what was
please?
gonna happen
Can
with
I
that
finish,
money.
please? Can I
Go ahead.
finish,
I'm
please?
sorry, Dr. Green.
We are in the most unusual year for this to hit that you could imagine. And it's all across the state. It is not just Brevard schools. And who knows how much money is going to go unspent out of this allocation across the state based on the number of students who don't return back to the schools.
This money is not linked to FTE allocation.
I got that. That's
DOE
not what
put out
I'm
a memo
saying,
on that as
Kyle.
well.
Kyle, that isn't what I'm saying. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is if districts lose numbers of teachers, if you just said, if we end up in May with 100 fewer teachers and we have $700,000 left, or whatever your figures were, that's happening across the state. And all I'm saying is this was a very difficult year for all of this stuff to hit. And there is going to be money left over, I'm going to guess, across the state for those districts that are going to lose teachers after they have settled on this amount. I clearly know it's not tied to FTE. I got that. That's not the issue. That wasn't your question.
So
Your question was, what happens to that money? And my response was, I don't know that we know if at the end of the year, we have to take that $700,000 and distribute it. I don't know the answer to that, or if we even have that. Right now, we're showing a reserve of 109 or 137. What happens to that 109 or 137? I don't know that we have the answer to that.
So Dr. Green, one of my biggest issues is with your numbers, is I believe that you are saying there are 5,000, at least 5,010 teachers in this district.
No, I don't think that was what our numbers equaled up to. If you add
No,
1833 and 26 does not equal 5,000.
Yes, because then you got to add in the federal positions that last year you had 366 of those and 349 allocations. So you're telling us your numbers add up to 5,010 teachers, but we're looking at payroll going, we only have 4,818 teachers. So that's a difference of 200 teachers right there. How can you give teachers that don't exist a raise?
So if I'm looking at numbers correctly, 1833 plus
Hold on one second.
2626
Hold on.
equals 4459. If
If
we add
they're double
300
counting the 202.
What are they, Dan?
They're double counting the 202. I see what I get it. They're still way over on teachers, but I mean,
Double count.
because we have teachers right now doing hybrid with 13 in their class on e-learning and 12 on their class, you know, but we got to understand that this is a, unexpected year for the district.
I don't know.
So we don't have enough teachers.
300.
There's no use.
What numbers are you adding up, Dr. Green? I was looking for the proposal.
She's adding 1,833.
Yeah.
She's not adding the 202 because I'm assuming.
They're contained in the
is-
1833.
Okay.
They're a subset of the 1833.
They're a subset, and then she's adding 2,626.
And that gives you 4459. And let's say we still have 300 grant paid positions, which if those were from May, I'm not going to say we do, but that's only 47.
It's 48, 25, Dr. Green, but we got to find some numbers to agree on. I just think to move forward, that's what we did last year, but.
We will do that.
I still don't see why we're not counting the 202 teachers.
So let me try to explain group 2 again. Group 2 is those full-time classroom teachers that fit the legislator's definition, who we got to 46,650, but that raise did not make a 2% raise.
All right, I got you. Gotcha. All right. Well, I don't really know where we go from here. We completely disagree on the whole concept of your plan to begin with. So I don't really know if it's worth coming back to the table yet, if we're still at a point where you are taking your marching orders from the DOE, and we feel like that violates the state constitution.
Well, I think we should come back on Monday.
Is that going to change from now to Monday? And just to be clear, like, this is why you guys are in this situation to begin with this whole reopening, right? Remember, we have to reopen our schools 5 days, brick and mortar. We have to do that. The DOE says, until we actually took it to a judge, a real live judge, who said, yeah, that's illegal. They're overstepping their bounds. It's because you guys never push back on things. You just accept what the DOE says. And they know if they said, hey, we need you to walk off the top of the building right now, you guys would walk off the top of the building and not push back. So
Well, I don't think so, but
no, I am certain you guys would if the DOE said that, because that's what you did with the reopening plan. You marched ahead because they said so. Now, granted, the governor's got to put it into a friendly court where he, I think, is appointed the judge. And we don't know what's going to happen from there. But, when an actual neutral party looked at the DOE overstepping their bounds, we saw what happened. So, that may not be a message for you, Dr. Green, personally, but as a representative of the school board, I will say this crap is going to continue until they destroy our public schools, which is many of their goals is to destroy our public schools. If you don't start pushing back and saying, we're not going to do everything that you say to do. We're not going to put people's lives in jeopardy. We're not going to screw over our veteran teachers. You know, we're at least going to try to do right by students and staff. So that is my message for the school board, because suddenly when it hit the fan this summer, then they all want to know, well, what's the union going to do to save us? Because we don't know how to help ourselves because we've never pushed back from the DOE. So that is my.
I still would like to come back Monday. We have some language pieces out there, and I know that we both have charges from each other and questions that we want answered.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, we'll talk, but honestly, like if we're still disagreeing about the philosophy of this whole plan, I don't know where that gets us, except a wasted Monday night, but we'll talk about the data to see what we can agree on, to see if it even makes any sense to come back. I mean, we're not having just an issue on the money, right? We're having an issue on the whole philosophy of the law. So I don't know if that's overcome at the bargaining table. Let's just say that.
well, my team will be ready on Monday night to
we'll
have
be
discussion.
ready if, we feel that, we have the data that we need and can agree on that. But like I said, we've literally been talking for 6 months about these numbers, and there still seems to be some disagreement as to what those numbers are. All right. Can't say I'm surprised, but.
I do think we made some progress tonight.
Well, yes, we did. We made some progress, but.
And we appreciate that.
All right, well, we will talk more.